just ordain every word, every situation here, God, that your power and presence would be leading the way over the next few moments. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. If you're married, you remember getting married? I hope so. If your spouse is sitting next to you, you better say that you remember getting married, okay? But I don't know if you remember the dating process. You know, I've heard people say like, yeah, you know, I met her, I met him, and I just knew right off the bat, that was the one for me. That was not the case for me. I love my wife, and she would tell you that. Like, I hear that story, but I think that's pretty few and far between. When somebody just walks up, shakes someone's hand and goes, I just knew right off the bat. By the way, I wouldn't open with that. That's pretty awkward if you're like, I just meet somebody and be like, you know what, I just feel from God. I've heard people try it. It doesn't work out. But, you know, it's interesting because getting married to someone really takes faith. Now, I know that this sounds almost strange, but I don't care how much time I spent with my wife, how much trust I had in her. Ultimately, I stood at an altar before a minister, and with this ring I thee wed, and I exchanged vows for richer, for poor, sickness and health, as long as we both shall live, till death do us part, all this stuff. And you're looking at this person and you're going, I'm going to take my faith and my confidence, and I'm going to put it in you that you're also going to be faithful to me. And now you really don't know the future. But two people are saying, we've spent enough time together. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to exchange these vows, and we are going to jump into this next commitment level of our journey, of our marriage. But it does take an element of faith to step out and say, I'm going to choose to put my faith in you and enter into this marital union. Now, when someone says, oh, are you ready to get married? I know you might disagree, but I would almost make the argument that there are very few people who are ready to get married. I needed to wait till I was 26. I was not mature enough to get married when I was like 18 or 19. If you were, that's awesome for you. But I didn't get married because I wasn't ready. But even then, you're still standing in front of someone, exchanging these vows, and you're like, ready or not, here I come. I don't know for sure. I think I am. I've done my best to prepare. And then at that wedding, immediately you have people walking up to you, and what do they start asking you? Literally at the reception. When are you going to have kids? You're like, bro, I just got married like 20 minutes ago. Like, you need to relax, okay? But people start going, when are you going to have kids? And again, may I suggest, I don't think anyone is ever ready to have kids. Now, I know you might say, I disagree with that, but you might be mature, finish school, have a good job, own a home, all the things that people would define as being ready and capable of having a kid. But no one is ready to all of a sudden feed another human being with your own body. Like, clean up another human being's poop. I mean, like, let's be real here, all right? Take vomit all down the front of your shirt. Wake up all through the night, half delirious, have your name called 3,712 times, be asked a million questions about everything, be in a hotel room like I was for the first 2 nights. My room looked amazing. My family arrived on Wednesday. My boys came in my room, 14 and 11. My room was trashed in 3.5 minutes. Like, no one prepares you for like, hey, you're always going to have somewhere to put your money now for the rest of like next 20 to 25 years. Like, you're always going to have somewhere. I don't know. I'm not ready for that. But you get married and you're like, I want to have kids. And you're like, I think this is a good time. Ready or not? Here I come. And here we go, you know, like, so, and I always say this, having kids is the cure for selfishness. You can be selfish, but you have kids, like, it's going to cure that for most people. Now, there are some selfish parents out there. But I was in charge of junior high ministries at a large church in Wisconsin when my wife and I got married. I had never sat in on a board meeting. I never ran an annual business meeting. I got an opportunity to become the lead pastor of a church in Liberty, Missouri. And you know what I did? I bought Robert's Rules of Order. And this book was like this. So then I found some on Amazon. They made Robert's Rules for Dummies. I was like, that's the one I need right there. It's the succinct version. Because I'm like, I got business board meetings coming up like in a few weeks as I go through the transition and step into this role as a 28-year-old pastor. My wife was 24. And we were just like, woo, we're gonna change the world. You know, we're gonna be building a new building, be at 100 people. We started with 18, and we're just gonna change the world. We're gonna need to build for 900 people probably by the end of the year. Like that was my thought process, you know? Like I was just like, I come from a big church and all churches are gonna be big. Yeah, let's go. And so I read Robert's Rules for Dummies because I felt the call to pastor, but I can honestly tell you, I was not ready to pastor. I wasn't ready. To some, being ready means removing any risk for failure. Like we have to remove every single obstacle so that we got to take every chair out of this entire room so nobody can accidentally trip. But what about the person that trips over their own feet? We never are going to remove every single obstacle. If I was waiting until I was good and ready, I wouldn't be married today. I wouldn't have 3 kids. I wouldn't be pastoring a church. I wouldn't be the North American Missions Director of Missouri because I certainly was not ready for that. And I wouldn't be speaking here today. And so we have to ask ourselves, what does it actually mean to be ready? What does that mean? Well, dictionary says to be ready means to have fulfilled the necessary conditions, mental or physical, to transition into action. It is the alignment of preparation, meaning having the tools and skills, and willingness, meaning accepting the challenge. Having the tools and skills and accepting the challenge. And I pause and go, Missouri has 650-ish licensed ministers and 195 works. Certainly, out of the 500, there's got to be some that have the tools and the willingness. But there's 2 key components to church planting. It's, of course, God. That's the given, but it is the person who is called by God that responds to that call. But then it's also the pastor who's willing to release that person. Because I have talked to pastors who want to plant, and no one's in their church saying, I feel called, Pastor, what can I do? And I've talked to people who say, I don't know what to do because I feel called, but my pastor won't let me go. If we can be a district, and it starts with, we look around and say, well, there's just a few of us here today at this 5 o'clock session, our camp meeting. But if just this room full of people, like we just either continued with our same vein of thinking or changed our vein of thinking, and we said, for us, we're going to have a church planting mindset. Little by little, the district continues to shift from an attraction model to an advancing model. And so when based on this definition, as we read this, there's got to be people either in this room or in this district that are ready. Ready meaning not, oh yeah, 100%, I'm never going to fail. There's going to be nothing in the way. There's never going to be a trip up. That will never happen for anybody, ever. If the Lord had this in his inspired word, then I would imagine that sending forth is definitely a part of his will. Matthew 9:35 says, Jesus went to all the cities and the villages, not just one city and one mega church. He went to all the cities and all the villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, healing every sickness, every disease among the people. And when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion. If you've never done that study, just look at that phrase, moved with compassion, and see how many times in the New Testament it pops up. I mean, he's just moving along. Oh, there's a lady with an issue of blood, moved with compassion. There's a short guy in a tree, moved with compassion. Like, there's a dead guy, moved with compassion. Like, everywhere he's going, he's just moved with compassion. And that's the key to church planting, because it's not like a career we choose. Like, well, I was going to be a doctor, and man, I hate sciences, so I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll go try pastoring. Like, it doesn't work that way. You will not last long. My pastor told me this, and I was like, what are you saying? He said to me, I'll never forget it. I was in Wisconsin. I had just started pastoring, and the beginning, it was a little rough at times. Yeah, we won't go into that, but it was a little rough at times. And he said, Gary, he said, to do this, you either have to be called or crazy. I was like, hey, thank you for the word, Pastor Tamil. Where was this when I started? Like, he said, you have to either be called or crazy. And so we can't do it. If we're not moved with compassion, you're probably not going to be successful long term, because that has to be the heart of Jesus in us, that when we look at people, we're going, I'm moved with compassion. When we drive through a city, we go, we're moved with compassion. Church planting is already becoming a way of life in our home and in our lives. My kids have grown up. We've been serving North American missions now for a long time. All three of my kids, 17, 14, 11, have talked about planting a church. We have family nights, and several months ago, I was sitting there and I was just like, yeah, guys, what do you guys think you want to be? Because I'm one of these people that my kids, I just want them to do ministry, to minister in some capacity for God. I am not going to be saying, guys, are you going to take this church because your dad pastor, you should pastor. I'm not going to do that. If they're called to pastor, great. I'm not going to push it on them. You just better minister for the kingdom. Do something. And so I was just like, yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think you'll be? And we're all just chatting, chiming in. And my 14-year-old, all of a sudden I look at him, and he just starts to cry, like tears are coming down his cheeks. And I'm like, Jude, what's up, man? And he said, Dad, every time I drive downtown Kansas City, he said, there's literally no church downtown. He said, and I just feel like God one day is going to have me plant a church in the heart of downtown Kansas City. I mean, you want, like, the power and presence of God. I still kind of get emotional. The power and presence of God was so strong in that living room. I want my kids to grow up not afraid to think about whether they're ready or not. Yeah. I just want them to look and feel compassion when they look in areas and people and go, they need an apostolic witness. They should not have to drive 2 hours or even 45 minutes to hear the truth preached. I want to bring the truth to them in some capacity. And so Jesus, he tells them, the disciples, he says, the harvest is plenteous. He says, but the laborers are few. And so he gives a prayer request for all of us. He says, here's what I want you to pray, guys. Pray that God will send forth laborers into the harvest. Am I saying that we should randomly get up this Sunday and go, you know what, I heard a good session at Missouri Conference. Who's going to volunteer to go start some churches? I probably would not do that, because although I'm talking about you don't have to be 100% ready, there still should be some equipping and preparing for the call. I mean, Jesus spent 3 years, preparing them. That there has to be some preparation. But I would never say, just like I would never say, just go marry somebody without spending any time with them, or have children without any type of love or commitment. No, there's a process. There's a preparation stage, aiming to fulfill necessary conditions to transition into action, working on gaining tools and skills, just like the definition of being ready. But there are two sides again. There has to be the laborer who says, I'll go into that field. And there has to be the pastor that says, you're willing, I'll send you into that field. And I have heard both sides of the story. The pastor going, I want to, but I got nobody that's telling me. There's nobody that's expressing a call. And I have people that are going, I've talked to my pastor. They just tell me I need to stay here. And God's going to honor that because the pastor's going to know. But I will say this. The word Paul uses for bishop in the New Testament essentially means overseer. Scripturally, Paul uses for bishop in the New Testament. By the way, I was supposed to use this. Can you guys hear me okay, or do you want me to use this? Use it? Sorry, guys. I should have been using this the whole time. I'm gonna blame it on Brother Dustin Williams. He never reminded me to use my microphone. So just look at him right there. Say, dude, what's your problem? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay. By the way, God gives you helpmeets because up on my iPad right here, there was a text from my wife that says, use your microphone. So God is good. He gives us what we need. But the word Paul uses for bishop in the New Testament essentially means overseer. Scripturally, pastors or bishops, they're an overseer or a guardian of the local church. So I do believe scripturally that if we as a pastor, somebody in here is a pastor, if you deny someone the ability to go into another field, or whether you anoint someone to go into another field, God will back that up. I really do believe that because he's entrusted you to a field. And if you're the overseer of that field, there is apostolic authority that comes with that spiritual role. And so pastors do play a very integral role in either denying or sending. But I will say this. He calls us to be an overseer of a field, but we are not the owner of the field. And so the Bible says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. We don't own people. We don't own fields. And they all belong to God, and we serve him and his kingdom. I think about that sometimes. Anytime I want to think that like I'm a really big deal, or God really needs me in Independence, Missouri, I stop and I think and I go, if I left 3 weeks from now, it's God's church, it's God's field, the church is healthy, it's thriving, we have a great leadership team, that they would probably be really nice to me and cry and hug me and say, at least a handful of them, I'm going to miss you, it's never going to be the same, oh my goodness. But I know that within a matter of a couple months, they'd have a new pastor and they'd still be thriving. Because this is not about me. But I do understand my role in what God called me to be as an overseer in that location. And so I know I have spiritual authority that's God-given. And so anytime I preach, teach, develop people, send, withhold, I take that very seriously. And I do say that I wish every pastor who does think he or she owns a territory or lords over a developing minister, I hope that person eventually steps out of the way soon. Because it's not scriptural. Because it's not God's plan. And I know I can say that here because there's no chance that you came to a 5 o'clock session 2 hours before a service and you don't feel the same way. Like you're not here going, I'm just here because I hate pastors who plant and I think that's ridiculous. I'm just going to come here and be a thorn in their side. Like I know that this is a safe place for me to say that. But I'm a practical guy and I think we have tons of inspiration. I think you can find inspiration in camp meeting, in the local services. I think you can go to YouTube preaching. There's apostolic conference. There's because of the times. There's all this wonderful stuff that we can be inspired. And so I really like to do practical things. Like I love when Brother Bernard teaches because he just gets up there and goes, well, we're we're going to go with point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, and it's just very clear, and I like that. But I feel like what God was speaking to me this year, and for this moment, in this session, is in this moment, inspiration does not matter. And practical tools don't matter if mindset doesn't change. Like, no doubt, we know good preaching, and the word is so powerful that I probably could come in here and be like, oh, the word says this. We could have a move of God here. I could come in and say, now these are the 6 steps for success, and we could all write them down and think about whether they will work in our context. But ultimately, the practical tools and the inspiration do not matter if we don't have a mindset of, as a district, of we've got to have people who are called by God and respond, and pastors who are willing to release them, to equip and release. Until we have that mindset, which I believe many already do. But again, and I don't mean to knock it, but I think we would agree when I say, I thank God for licensed ministers, but if there are 195 works in the state and like 650 licensed ministers, I would make the argument we should have more churches. I know in our church, when a young person will come up to me and say, hey, I feel called, that's awesome. I think I should get my license. I will say, tell me about your long-term plan. Like, what do you want to, what is God calling you to do with your life? And then I will listen to that. And if it's a life of long-term ministry, full-time ministry does not mean just money.
Right.
Okay, so I feel my whole rest of my life is supposed to full-time go to effort and energy toward advancing the kingdom. Okay, great, let's talk about that. So what are you doing right now that you don't feel like you could do well without a license? If you can answer that question, say, here's why I think the license is good. It will advance this area of ministry. I'm all for it. But we're not just going to you get a license, you get a license, you get a license, just so that I can be like, guess what, guys? We got 15 licensed ministers in our congregation. If they ain't doing anything to advance the kingdom, they don't need a license. And so I hope I can, this is being recorded, Lord, no, I don't know if they'll ask me to do this stuff again, but this is just, I'm just being real today, because I don't want to see, I want to advance the kingdom in some capacity. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody who has more than one licensed minister is a waste. We got several at our church, but they are all discipleship, Bible studies, youth pastor. They're doing things that are advancing the kingdom. But I will say that even in our context, our leaders, I'm telling them all the time, you're either training someone else to go, or you're training someone else to replace you so you can go. It's one of two things. You're either getting someone ready to plant the next work, or you're getting ready to have someone take your place so you can go. And I'm blessed today because we literally have people in this room who have trained others to go and others who have went. And so they're here today. We sent off the first incredible couple from our church to go plant a work in Excelsior Springs. James and Sarah Chester right here. And so they left. We took a team, we launched the work, we took about 22 people with us. I was there on site, and I was like, I'm gonna be here for 2 years. Well, about a year into it, God speaks and goes, you already know they're the people, talk to them. So I said, what do you guys think? So they expressed their burden, their vision, their desire to take that work, and I was like, okay. And so I was intentional, kind of started to back up, give them things. They worked with the team, and I just phased myself out. And now it's a self-governing work. They just baptized I forget how many people, 4th person this past Sunday. And they're doing a great work there in Excelsior Springs. But this was our office manager. This was the man in charge of our small groups, our baptismal ministry, and they're some of my wife and I's closest friends. It's one of those deals. That's why it's called a daughter work. Eventually, my daughter is going to get married. I'm going to be thrilled. I don't want my daughter living in my basement at 57 years old. But I will be fighting back tears because I'm going, oh, it's another stage. This is great. This is healthy. But boy, I'm going to miss you. That's what this was. But they're still connected. We still send them people when they need some help. They still come to the mother church for refreshing, occasional services, events. There's a healthy relationship. Just this past week on the way here on Monday, we have another member call me and says, God's calling me to that church, to that campus. I said, what are you going to do there? Tell me about it. And I said, I want you where God wants you to be. And she's going over to be with them. And I fully support that. But I look and I go, if they were honest, we did our best to spend time together, to try and train, to have conversations, ask questions, all this. But I think they would tell you, hey, were you guys 100% ready to pastor? Maybe when you left, you thought so. But now there are things happening that they're going, you didn't tell us this part. And the truth is, I wasn't withholding anything, but there are things that I've called my pastor, and they pastor for 50 years, and I'm like, hey, I got this going on, and I'm 28. My pastor would go, oh, Gary. And I'm thinking, I'm going to call this guy, and he's going to be like, oh, yeah, all you need to do is this, this, and this. And I'm like, cool, thank you, goodbye. He's like, yeah, I've pastored like 44 years, and I've never had that happen to me. He's like, let me think about this and call you back. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, you don't even have the answer? What in the world? I'm 20. Did God forget how old I am and what a lack of experience I have? Because it's funny, we laugh now at what we thought we knew then. And I know years from now, I'm going to crack up thinking about what I think I know today. And that's why I can say, let's spend the next 8 weeks in a course together. I still am not going to be able to give them everything to where they leave and go, wow, we entered this journey. Pastor Gary Dornbach had us 100% ready to pastor. We've never had a difficult day. It's been amazing. Smooth sailing. Everything's gone exactly how I expected it to go. Yeah, right. Everybody's got a different challenge. Planting a work, sending someone to plant a work, taking over an existing work. You can go ahead and say, man, you're lucky you got to start from scratch. Well, you're lucky you had a building. You're lucky you didn't have to deal with the founding pastor still being there. You're lucky, like we can just say whatever we want. Everybody's lucky, but guess what? Everybody has a really, really tough chapter in their story. Right. And so what am I saying is that, ready or not, here we come. If you're here going, well, I'm thinking about eventually pastoring, I just don't know if I'm ready yet. What does that mean? What are you talking about ready? What? Was there a certain book, a certain class, a certain number of times preaching? Did your pastor say something? I'm not being facetious. Like, what does it mean to you? Well, I'm here as a pastor, and I've always wanted to plant a daughter work, but I've always wanted to plant a preaching poem, but I just don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if they're ready. What does that mean? Because if I'm a pastor and I'm saying, I don't know if people in our congregation who are telling me they're called, I don't know if they're ready, then what am I doing to get them ready? What does it mean to me to be ready? Because if all I'm ever saying is, well, they're just not ready. They're just not ready. They're just not. That's very frustrating to the person who's saying, I feel called. And so we have to go, here's what I want from you. Give them something tangible. Be straight with somebody. I've looked at people and say, here's the thing. I see you going on missions trips and you're doing things over there, but I'm not seeing you do those things at home. I have literally looked at people and said that to people. Now, I'll tell you this because I love you, but I'm seeing this, but I'm not seeing it here. This is what I want to see here. Clarity's kind. So if you talk to James and Sarah, they probably are not going to tell you, yeah, we're 100% ready. There's not been one surprise along this journey. But you know what? There would not be a church in Excelsior Springs today if they did not come and say, I feel called to this location. And there would not be a church in Excelsior Springs if I would have said, no, you're my office manager. You're in charge of a lot of key ministries here, and you're our friends. We don't want to lose you guys. You're not going. There needed to be a person who said, I'm called and I want to do something about it. There had to be a pastor that said, what do we need to do? You see, so much about what we read in Scripture is about go, 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 go. Very little is about stay, 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 stay. But when you pastor, man, it's a lot easier when they stay. And we're in a metro area, 5th largest city in Missouri, Independence. We have people move in for jobs. Yes. But guess what? If they move in, they move out too. We had just done our campaign, our second campaign, and literally the person with the most money in the church was like, I'm getting a job transfer. I'm like, that's not the will of God. Right. But God directs. And we know it's His church. Sure. And so if it's really His church and I'm just an overseer of a field, but I don't own the field, then I remember, oh, that's right, Scripture says the fivefold ministry, one of those is pastor. And a pastor, my calling is to not build a big church. It's to equip saints to do the work of ministry. And so I exist to help people figure out what is God calling me to do. And then I want to help them fulfill that call. And so that helps me keep things in perspective. Because then that means I didn't lose my friends. I got to be a part of investing them into something that God has called them to do, and they're doing an incredible job at it. And I go, wow. Was I ready? Not really. Were they ready? Not really. But if we're waiting until we remove every single obstacle, you will never do it. You'll never teach a Bible study. You'll never teach a Sunday school class. You'll never plant a church. You'll never start a church. You'll never drive the bus ministry. You won't get married. You won't have kids. It won't happen. Because anything new that we step out, you can prepare, study, train, but there are some things you only get on the job training. That's it. So I would say we have to shift our mindset today more than anything. It's kind of tough because I want to give you here's the 7 practical steps. But it's a mindset thing. We have to shift our mindset from the thought of, I'm trying to get somebody 100% ready to go do what God's called them to do. And I think we need to shift that to about 80%. We can't just send out volunteers. Again, you get a license, you love God, you're willing to go, let's go. Yeah, you're going to have a mess. There has to be discipleship. There has to be training. There has to be proving. Lay hands on no man suddenly. That's unless they be exalted. We don't want to do that. We have to be wise. I saw they were called long before they even did, but there had to be a process. And they're ready. And they were ready. Meaning 80% ready. Because we're never going to get to that 100%. We say, I'm equipping, I'm training, I'm doing what I can, I'm getting that on the job training, I'm getting that full discipleship, I'm doing everything I can. And the rest, I'm going to step out in faith. I wish that God, sometimes, even in our journey, we transition locations and crazy stuff. I could tell you some stories. I love when God says, Gary, here's the plan. I liked it better, like when he worked with Abraham, next year at this set time. Just start there. You have my cell phone number. You can text me exactly what, and I promise you I'll do it. But he doesn't, because that's not faith. It's a journey of faith. And he says, I'm calling you. If you're a man of faith, if you're a woman of faith, respond. And now you're going to walk on this journey. You're as prepared as you can be. And the rest, there's going to be, I write beautiful long stories with lots of chapters. And a lot of them you'd like to take out of your book. But you're not going to. Because what I write is beautiful. And along the line, I'm going to get you ready for some things that you were not ready for when you left. But that does not mean it wasn't time to step out.
Right.
And so, just like hide and go seek, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000. Ready or not, here we come. That has got to be our mindset in the Missouri district. We're not just loose cannons. Discipleship's key. Preparation, we're doing it. But if we're waiting for 100%, that day is never coming. Just like we preach in our pulpits, you're one decision away from salvation. And we believe any sinner just needs one decision. They repent, God washes away their sins, He fills them with His Spirit. I believe Missouri district people who are being called and pastors who are being called are just one decision away that goes, hold on a minute here. God didn't call me to just be a pastor in Independence. God called me to have my hand in the harvest in Excelsior. And you know what? I look around our area, I want to get a church back in Liberty. I want one in Raytown. I want one in Smithville. We have people starting small groups in Smithville. They have a burden for that area. I'm already going, you guys feel called to pastor there? They're like, no, absolutely not. So I'm going, okay, Lord, so what's the goal here? They're sowing seed in the harvest right now. Are you going to change their heart, or are you going to send somebody to go pastor? Because I'm fine with it. And so I have this mindset that for me, I'm going, God, I'm probably not going to be one of the pastors that like is pastoring when I'm 91 or something like that. Like I'm probably going to stop a little earlier. And so I'm going, God, I'm 45. If I pastor till I'm like 62 or something like that, I'm like, you've got about 15 years. And over these next 15 years, I would love to plant about 5 more works. God, let it be so. Help me to have the mindset and the know-how, how to disciple, train, equip, empower, and send. God, help me. Because at the end of the day, they say it's cliche, but it's not about seeding capacity. It's about sending capacity. Can that be our mindset, our prayer of just going, Lord, ready or not, here we go. I know they tell us to be done by what time? About 6 minutes or so. I'll open this up. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? I certainly don't have all the answers, but I mean, if you talk to us, we would both tell you that was the first church that I was a part of starting, the first church that they were a part of taking over as a daughter work. We would all tell you, like, man, we knocked some things out of the park. Like, whoo, we did some really good things. And then other things, we'd be like, whatever you do, don't do it that way. Because, like, we messed up. But we did what we could. And so, is there anybody here, anything at all? Anything about this mindset, what I'm saying, church planning, anything that you want to comment, question, that we could maybe collaborate on and answer before we head out? Okay.
Sorry, we're a church plant for 3 years, now daughter work. Okay. And
can you guys hear him?
No.
All right, here.
So we're a daughter work for 3 years now in New London, Missouri. God has blessed us tremendously. But one big question I've had, and if there's anything that I would request, as we're saying to pastors, when knowing when our people are ready to go, what does it look like as far as the music ministry with this? Because we still do not have our own musicians. We still depend on our mother church for musicians for our Sundays. But on Wednesday nights, we go with it. We have prayer meeting for an hour. We play our canned music. We have testimonies. Hey, the church doesn't miss a beat. We have discipleship classes. But we keep praying for musicians. And if you're like our area, we have many travelers that are not apostolic. I've had them come in and want to, hey, I can play keyboard for you. I can play drums for you. And we're constantly pushing back saying, hey, I just want you to come. We got this. But do you have this question come up? Or, hey, our church is full of some of the best musicians I've ever known. Hey, we got singers, we raised up singers, but what does the church planting look like in the future where, hey, if a church has an overabundance of musicians, and hey, they're over the age of 18 and they feel that call to go, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is one of this comes up a lot in serving in North American missions. This is a constant thing and it's tough to answer because it depends on your context. One person comes out of a mother church that's super healthy and really supportive. Another one's like, no, you cut off all ties once you leave the mother church. I mean, one mother church has funds and they support, and then they can hire somebody to play. Another person is like, no, this mother church doesn't have funds, but they have tons of talented people, so they send over people. It's just one of those things, whatever we have to do to figure it out, every context is just different. Because some churches plant and their kids play instruments, and so they don't have a problem with that. Like you're saying, they're like, well, no, we do. We sent, for the first 2 years, we sent volunteers. They had a 2-year commitment. It was not like, oh, you get to go when you want. Like, I interviewed them, and if you're going to go here, you're committed to this for 2 years. They went to our service in the morning and then this service in the afternoon, and they did it for 2 years. And we scheduled them, and they had full praise teams and everything. Well, then we backed out of there, and they were like, oh, we still don't have music because their family's not musicians, and so they tons of other strengths, but that's not one of the things they do. And so like, now we're kind of trying to figure that part out. And so we're sending, like, they were welcome to ask a volunteer to come. And so we were still not the whole team, but we were still sending over musicians. Well, now they've been blessed in their context. They have a paid off building. And so they say, well, we have a little bit of resources. We have one of the ladies from our church that has a burden for that area, but she wants to stay at our church. So they just pay her to come in and play the keys and lead worship and give her a monthly stipend to do so. Not everybody can do that. And that's where we have to go, all right, are we choosing to pay someone? Do we have volunteers from a mother church? Do we want to play canned music? It's just whatever we are trying to do to try. Now, I do think that the very best thing that we can do, if at all possible, is to launch with a team. I know not, some people are, good dream. Like, I know that's not probably feasible for everybody. But if you can, one family trying to launch versus a team of 12 people, it's obviously a lot easier and a lot more manageable to do that if we can do that route. So yeah, there's not really a set answer. It's just, are you connected to a local church? Do you have funds to hire someone from a local church? Do you have, were you going to say something? Because I know you do music, so, all right. I've taught my wife everything she knows about music, so. Just kidding.
I was just going to say 2 things in regard to that. The first one being that we talk about equipping. We equip the ministers to go out. I believe firmly we should be equipping musicians to go out as well. I actually, when Sarah and James launched, they had asked if I would teach one of their children to play. and I taught a ton of people in our church. They're now serving them at that church to play the piano, but I did not have the time to do any more lessons. So I started an online program specifically for this, that literally if you have someone in your church, and I would say find that 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old that has some time, if they'll do this program, they will be able to play in church within 4 months. And one of their musicians was a girl that just literally, brand new convert, she wanted to learn how to play. She's not amazing yet, but she plays enough that she's playing in a church service, able to do it right away. So,
Was she ready?
What?
Ready or not, here we come.
Yes, she was not ready. No, she's not. But she's getting on the job.
She's
training.
there we go.
So it's called Piano, the number 4 worship, and it's literally just what you need to know to play in that context. But I think that that's a big component of it. The other thing being, if you do have a mother church that was willing to train them up and to send them into the harvest, Brittany, who's playing right now in Excelsior, she has a spirit of worship. And the people that are getting baptized, I commented to him about this just recently. The people that are getting baptized have started getting baptized since Brittany has come. Because she comes, and then her dad, who used to be a drummer in our church, but he's an old-fashioned drummer, he'll go along with her. He don't play at our church anymore. But he goes to the church plant and he loves it. And she brings all her family to sing, and they bring a culture of worship with them. Yeah. So, as pastors, if we can relinquish not just preachers, but musicians, it's vital. Musicians are vital too. And so, if you don't have that, you can learn. You really can. Within 4 months, I promise.
Yeah, yep. All right. Any other comments, questions?
Brother Dornbach, I had a couple of things. In Joplin, we're not a church plant, but after about a year and a half, our music felt called to go somewhere else, and so we had no one. And took a little while, didn't happen overnight, but new converts, teenagers, whatever, I just started paying for piano lessons. Not everyone can afford to do that, but I enrolled people, I paid for them. If you want to go, if you want to make a commitment, I enrolled them in piano lessons, and now we have good music.
Right.
Years later.
Yep.
That's my other is a question though. Daughter works. Are they privy to or acceptable to come to the NAM training sessions and or retreats or whatever, the resources that you have here in Missouri? Is that acceptable for Daughter Works to also come to those things?
Yes.
And be a part of that training?
Yep. You have another?
And when are those? How do we find out, et cetera, about those details?
If you go, I'm so happy you asked this. So you should go to MissouriNAM.com. That is all things church planting. That is information about Christmas for Christ, allocations, once you become a North American missionary, what kind of benefits do you get, applications for stuff. Daughter work pastors can get financial funding, not a ton, but nationally, a North American missionary can get Christmas for Christ, Move the Mission funding. The information about the North American Missions Retreat is on there. You need to register by the 4th of July. It is open to everyone. Every person here can come to North American Missions Retreat. The only difference is the approved North American missionary, which now we'll have about 19 of them or so. Our district NAM department pays their way. But we don't pay everybody's way. But you can we've had church planters bring their whole teams. We have them all come in. And it's, this year it's in Chesterfield, Missouri here. And it is August 6th to the 8th. It'll start Thursday evening and go through Saturday lunch. Literally, it's great. Everybody can come and hear about it.
You don't pay for daughter work?
We do not pay for daughter work pastors at this time. But if there was a daughter work pastor that was like, I really want to get there, there's just no way I can swing this financially, come and see me. I will personally pay for them. I do not want anybody to miss because of finances. We just can't offer it on a district level all the time. But a NAM retreat is wonderful. It's very laid back. It's great. We mix in fun. People are wearing jeans there. It's not like a conference feel. It's very much just spending time with each other, kicking back, relaxing. There's basketball, pickleball there. People be playing through the afternoon. Then there's another session, dinners. It's really, really a good time. But MissouriNAM.com, that's where you'll also see the preaching or the path to planting will be clarified. So you know what is the difference between an evangelistic outreach, like Bible study stuff. You don't need an application for that. Preaching Point. Oh, hey, a pastor's going to give it a trial run, maybe once a month. I don't even need a building. I'm going to meet in a basement. We're going to have this, the gospel's proclaimed in a service setting, even once a month. Oh, now that's really taken off. We apply to be a Preaching Point. You don't need it to do Bible studies and stuff. But now let's start trying to maybe a monthly service. That's a Preaching Point. Once there's a commitment, I'm going to start this church. We're going to get behind it. That's our daughter work. That needs an application too. When I say needs an application, it's not because we're just sitting around bored and we want control over people's lives. It's just so that we know, hey, we got someone in one of our target areas. Okay, let's register them with the national office. We're just excited. We want to make sure we extend benefits to you. That's all that this is. And then once that daughter work is doing well, they're going, and who knows better than anyone whether their daughter or son can stand on their own? The parent. When the mother church says, I think they're ready. We approved 3 churches this week that went Preaching Point, daughter work, North American mission status. One of them was Brother McGuire right here. And so we've seen that progression. And now when they become a North American missions self-governing work, they're already thriving because they've already gone through this great path. And all of that is spelled on that website. So if you've never been on the website, go to MissouriNAM.com. Lots of good information about the whole path to planting works. That's also where you'll register for North American Missions Retreat by the 4th of July. So go ahead and do that because I'd love to see all of you there. It'd be great. All right, well, I think yeah, come on. One of our church planners, Brother Rain Lee.
On the music situation, I know UPCI Music Ministry, they have their program that they do where they have all kinds of songs, like a long list of songs that have all the chord sheets, and they've got the parts that are already recorded for people to learn from, and then videos of people that are showing you how to play those songs. And then there's a whole set of area in there where they do training from the very basics. If somebody has never sat down at a piano before, they'll teach you to play the piano, and you just have to pay a yearly subscription to it. Now, Brother Hoffman may kill me for saying this because I don't know if it's something he does for everybody or something he did for me, but I just went to him and said, hey, we're North American Missions Church. Is there a discount you guys would give us for that? And we got 50% off of the yearly subscription to be able to
Hopefully it's an offer for everyone.
Whenever that subscription comes up, I'm going to go back to him and say, can I get another one of those codes so we can renew this? And if that's something that would help out as well, I know that's a great resource for the UPCI Music Ministry.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm thankful y'all came. It's a lot more fun with a few people in the room than just me and my wife, so I'm thankful that you guys were here. But hopefully this has been beneficial. I love you. I love Missouri District. Let's go. Ready? Or not? Here we go.
So we've got daughter work in Granby.
Yep.
And we just, he needs,
Wonderful job. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
he just needs some training. You know, he needs some training. But I don't necessarily know how to give him everything. So we're in the storefront. He's independent. They're having services Sunday morning and Thursday night. They've got music. His mother-in-law's there. They just